Hi, my name is Candace and I'm one of the crocheters at Crochetgasm, and today I want to go over a video showing you how to do the bullion stitch. So here's kind of a finished little patch of what it looks like, and so you guys can see it's got these kind of fun little puffy rolls. I've heard this also called the roll stitch, which you could probably see why. So I think this is a fun little pattern to do, and let's get started. So before we actually start crocheting, we kind of need to get our hooks ready. So for this stitch, it's really a lot easier to do if you use two hooks. So this red one here is kind of going to be my main hook, and this white one's going to be my second hook. And so what I want to do is I want to turn this around, so I kind of have the end here, and I want to get it close to the curve of this hook. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm gonna tape them around, and this just kind of helps hold everything together and will make it a lot easier as I get to the parts of the stitch where I'm wrapping the yarn around and I want to keep everything nice and tight. You could also use a knitting needle for this second hook, or you could do it without, but I find it much easier to do the stitch to kind of have this here to help keep the tension easy and to make those loops on the pattern just really kind of nice and thick. Okay, so now we got our hooks ready, we got our yarn, and we're ready to get started. So the first thing I need to do is I need to make my chain stitches. So for this pattern, you could really use any number of chain stitches that you wanted. I always like to, when I'm practicing a new stitch, kind of do about, I don't know, 20 or 24, kind of some number in there, just because it's a little bit easier for me to see the full pattern, get a feel for how it works, and all that stuff. So we're just gonna do some chain stitches. I'm going to go ahead and do out 24, and then we'll move to the next step. Okay, so as you can see, I finished my chain. It's a little long, but that's okay. So now we're going to move on to the next step. So I'm going to skip this first stitch, and then I want to do a single crochet stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook. Ooh, went too far in there. There we go. Insert my hook, yarn over, pull through the loop, and then I'm going to yarn over again and pull through both loops. And so that's my single crochet, and I'm going to continue that all the way till I get to the end of my chain. So one more time, I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull up the loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, so now I want to work on a row of bullion stitches. So the first thing I need to do is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I'm going to skip this stitch because my chain 3 is going to count as my first stitch, and I'm going to be working in this stitch right there. So the first thing I need to do is loosen up so that I can squeeze both hooks through the loop. Okay, now once I get those on there, I need to wrap my yarn around 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so now I need to make sure I hold this tightly so it doesn't come out. I'm going to go to my next stitch here. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, and pull up my loop. And then now I'm going to get this kind of close to the edge, and I'm going to slide all of my loops over the hook and pull that loop up. I'm going to do a chain stitch, oops, to kind of close it out, and that's my first bullion stitch. Now I'm going to do it again. So I loosen up, insert both hooks, and then I'm going to loop 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now holding this tight, I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. Sometimes I've got to shift this down a little bit so I can reach. Yarn over, pull the loop through, and I'm going to slide all my loops off both hooks. I'll pull that loop up through all of my loops, and then yarn over for one chain stitch, and I'll move on to my next one. So same thing again. Loosen this up enough that I can get both hooks through, and then yarn over 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to slide this down a little bit to the end, find my next stitch, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up my loop, and then slide all of my loops over the hook and chain stitch. I'm going to keep repeating that all the way down till I get to the end of the row. So now that I've gotten towards the end of the row, I've got one last stitch left. So I don't want to do a bullion here. What I'm going to do instead is a treble crochet. So I'm going to yarn over twice. Oops. One, two. I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, and so I've got 4 loops on my hook. So I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more, and yarn over, pull through 2. And so now I've finished my next row, and as you guys can see, I got a nice row of bullions going. They're nice and poofy and fun. So now it's time to switch. So I'm going to turn my work over, and now we're looking at the back side. For this next row, I want to do a row of single crochets. As you guys can see, it's a very poofy stitch, and so putting a row of single crochets in there makes it kind of just lay a little bit flatter. I think it makes a really nice pattern. It's also really fun if you alternate colors, so maybe do like a light color for your single crochets and then do a different color for your bullions. Definitely makes them pop. So for this row, I'm going to chain 1, and then in my very first stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet. So insert, yarn over, pull my loop through. That's my single crochet. As I go through, I want to make sure that I'm single crocheting in my bullion stitches, not in my chain stitches. So it's really easy to kind of see where I got this nice little stack of yarn here. So that's where I'm going to insert right at the top of there. Yarn over, pull my loop up, yarn over, pull through both, and that's my single crochet. And so again, I'm going to come over to my next bullion stitch. So not that chain stitch that we used to kind of close off our bullion, but I want the actual bullion stitch. So right in there, pull my loop through, single crochet, and then I'll move on to the next. And so times here where maybe that chain stitch was a little bit bigger, it can be easy to get confused. But remember, I'm looking for that stack of yarn, and that lets me know where that next stitch is that I want to do my single crochet in. And you just insert through the top 2 little loops there for your next single crochet. And so I'm going to continue this all the way down to the end of the row. So now that we're all done, you can kind of see what it looks like. We've got these rows of puffy little loops, and in between we have our rows of single crochet, which I really like the way that turns out, and I think it helps keep everything a lot flatter. With all this extra yarn in here, this does tend to kind of curl up a little bit. So the more rows that you do with it, I think the better that it turns out. This is a really good stitch for blankets and scarves, and the little bullion stitches are really good for like flower petals if you're doing more decorative designs. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the full tutorial, make sure to check out Crochetgasm. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so you don't miss any more. Bye!